Through all the doom and gloom of AI stealing our jobs, there actually is some news that recently came out that might bring some hope to people. So let's delve into the situation of Ford. This is a post put out by Dextero the other day that reads, Ford has hired back over 300 human engineers after AI failed to match their skills and expertise. And quote, artificial intelligence is a fantastic tool, but it is only as good as the information you use to train it. End quote. And the Dextero article actually cites this BBC article written by Liv McCannon titled Ford rehires human engineers after AI fails to match quality checks. So it reads, according to Bloomberg, the firm rehired more than 300 veteran quality inspectors in recent years to make up for the pitfalls of automated systems. So in the last couple of years, Ford was amongst one of many companies that was really talking about the proponents of AI and how it was going to be revolutionary for their company. Things like, oh, it's going to replace so many white-collar workers and that, it's going to be used throughout our entire company. In Ford's case, it included rolling out 900 AI-powered cameras to detect quality issues. But then according to the article, Charles Poon, who is the vice president of vehicle hardware engineering, said that their firm's AI-driven checks have failed to live up to expectations. Quote, mistakenly, we thought that just by introducing artificial intelligence and ingesting the design requirements we had, that we would produce a high-quality product, end quote. And that, he pointed out, the tools lacked training and expertise of veteran technicians, many who had left the company before their knowledge could be used to improve the technology. And as a result, they reintroduced those humans back into their company. Quote, we recognize that for us to enhance some of our automation and machine learning and AI tools, we need to ensure that they were trained by the most experienced individuals, end quote. Now, when these articles came out, people on the internet were absolutely memeing on Ford. It was really funny. Under that Dextero post on Twitter, a top comment reads, imagine firing 300 of your employees just to jump on the AI hype train, then end up failing miserably, that you end up hiring them all back. A lot of people were dropping this meme, the Ford employees right now, and it says, you couldn't live with your own failure. Where did that bring you? Back to me. And another person says, engineering isn't just math. It's knowing that a bolt feels wrong before you torque it. It's walking a production line and hearing a misfire before sensors catch it. You can't train that. You can only hire it. And this was also posted on Reddit in r/technology. And the top comment says, quote, sorry about the whole firing thing. Can you come back to train our AI so we can fire you again? End quote. What is interesting is that Ford's admission of its AI failings came right as it snagged the #1 spot for being a mainstream automaker in the USJD Power Initial Quality Study, which according to this article, they haven't had that spot since 2010. Kind of interesting. I mean, hey, correlation doesn't always equal causation, but it's kind of interesting to note that, timing. So while that is positive news, it isn't exactly the most positive news because as that Redditor was joking around in the comments, that is actually what looks to be why they were hired back. In a Forbes article about the same thing written by Joe Toscano, it highlights how the rehired engineers are actually being used to rebuild the data pipelines to feed Ford's AI training and to mentor junior staff and reprogram the automated systems that originally was supposed to replace them. This article also points out that Ford is not the only company to have also experienced this, that Klarna and IBM did the exact same thing, where Klarna between 2022 and 2024 replaced 700 customer agents. And because quality dropped in mid-2025, they hired a lot of those agents back, where the CEO said, quote, we focused too much on cost and the result was lower quality, end quote. And that IBM is also in the same boat, where earlier this year, they announced that they were going to triple US entry-level hiring, which a lot of people thought that entry-level jobs were going to get replaced by AI. And the article points out that IBM, Klarna, and Ford each arrived at the same correction through different industries and different timelines. The article concludes that AI-literate workers are necessary in an AI era, and that the engineers Ford hired back are not an evidence that AI fails, but an evidence that AI requires experienced humans to function well. Ford, IBM, and Klarna are not the only companies that have rolled this back, because we have another article. This is a CNBC article written by Justina Lee, titled Employers Who Laid Off Workers Citing AI Are Already Starting to Regret It. And they talk about another company, Commonwealth Bank of Australia, or CBA, where last year CBA laid off more than 40 customer service staff and replaced them with an AI voice bot. And it reads, however, the AI system was unable to cope, which led to an increase in calls, prompting CBA to reverse job cuts. Quote, getting CBA to rescind these job cuts is a massive win, end quote, Australia Finance Sectors Union said in a statement. And CBA admitted, quote, it did not adequately consider all relevant business considerations, end quote, when announcing the redundancies and acknowledge, quote, we should have been more thorough in our assessment of the roles required, end quote. So that is a very interesting point. But it's interesting to see that all of these companies that have made decisions to replace workers with AI, there are some now that are talking about the fact that they messed up and that they're rolling back their decision. And I think this is interesting because talking about AI and generative AI and all of this, it's very like controversial topic to talk about nowadays, but so much so that the Pope has actually weighed in, and recently the Pope has dropped some pretty interesting quotes that has shaken Twitter about this. So this was on June 25th, where the Pope writes, we cannot consider hashtag AI to be morally neutral. In reality, every technical tool embodies choices and priorities through what it measures, ignores, and optimizes, and how it classifies people and situations. Ethical discernment cannot be limited to asking whether we are using a system for good or bad purposes. It must also examine how that system is designed and what vision of the human person and society is embedded in the data and models that guide it. The day before, he also dropped this. Dear writers, we need your imagination, your narrative creativity, and your lively thinking. We need these to create spaces of freedom and authenticity within which divine grace can make the promise of consolation and peace resound. Now, I personally am not religious, but I do agree. Hey man, we do need the imagination. And this to me was absolutely so funny, but Twitter page Pope Cray writes, AO3 has received the divine mandate of the Pope, because yes, go write your fanfics. The top comment reads, he read the conclave fix and recognized the word of God. Another person says he definitely has a secret account and is currently arguing in the comment section of a slow burn fic about character pacing. And one of my personal favorites is this, where it says, the Pope is offering you a pencil. In quote retweet to this as well. And there is this article. This is from last year, April 29, 2025, by OrgView. And it writes, annual research released today by OrgView, the organizational design and planning software platform, reveals that 39% of business leaders made employees redundant as a result of deploying AI. But of those, 55% admitted they made wrong decisions about those redundancies. So they goofed up. Looking at the numbers, at least it can be a little positive. 39% is a fair percentage of people trying to replace workers with AI. But on the other hand, it feels better knowing that a fair chunk of them, a majority of them, in fact, actually realized that they messed up and maybe it wasn't, they made wrong decisions. So we'll see how it is. But it's always kind of funny to see because it's kind of like, hey, all of the really pro AI people are like, yeah, it's going to replace jobs, it's going to replace humans, it's going to make humanity obsolete and everything's going to be run by AI. It's all this, that, and the third. And now we're kind of seeing, hey, man, maybe it's not doing as much, right, as people might be saying it's doing. Yeah. Curious about your thoughts on this entire situation. This was just a little news drop that I wanted to share with you guys. So yeah, would love to hear your thoughts with respect in the comment section down below. And with that, if you like this video, I appreciate it if you like and subscribe. Don't forget to check me out on Etsy. I have digital art there for streamers and creators. I also have a coffee with free resources and I'm working on some merch. And I also stream on Twitch 3 days a week. So I hope to catch y'all in my streams or in another one of my videos. Peace.